Welcome to Podsauce, your podcast discovery show. I am Alicia Renee.
And I'm Dax Holt.
And we are now joined by friend to the show, Matt Spiegel, host of Beat the Streak. Matt, hello.
Hello, Alicia. Hello, Dax. Pleasure to be here.
Thanks for coming back, man.
Thank you for joining us yet again. Breakdown, give us the elevator pitch, Matt, so to speak, of Beat the Streak.
All right, so Beat the Streak is actually a game within the MLB Play app. We are Beat the Streak daily inside the hits. See what we did there? And,
when does that come on, Matt?
Give me a minute. Yeah, daily. So it drops every weekday of the baseball season. So Monday through Friday, well before the first game of the day. And what we are really is like a 10-minute podcast to start your baseball day, especially if you play the game Beat the Streak, which has been around under the auspices of Major League Baseball itself for about 20 years. So we're having fun. We talk hitting every day. I'm recapping the night in baseball in terms of the hitting perspective. And then at the end of the show, I'm giving you picks for the game Beat the Streak. So it really helps if you play the game. The good news is that the game is awesome, which is why I had the idea for the podcast. And now I've hit kind of a sweet spot where Major League Baseball is super excited about it because they're proud of their game. And Audacy is super excited about it because it's just about baseball and it's national. It's not about a local market and your own team. It's like anybody, anywhere who's paying attention to baseball can play. And I guess the other sweet spot is that it's really good for somebody who's played the game, Beat the Streak, like Ryan Porth, my producer, has for 20 years, or I guess 18 of the 20 years. And it's good for somebody like me who never played the game before this year. I was a newbie, and I am a newbie, except now I'm 6 weeks in, and I feel like I got it down. Like I'm on fire right now with Beat the Streak. So I figured it out, right? 6 weeks, what could be so hard? So we play the game, we give advice on playing the game, and we talk baseball, and it's we're having a really, really good time.
So is there hope for someone like me who knows nothing about baseball? Can I 100%. Be redeemed? Okay.
Alicia, imagine yourself at a ball game or watching a ball game, and you see people come up, and some people you know. Who do you know? You know Mike Trout. You know.
She just goes. That was no clue who you're talking about, but yes.
Dax, who do you know? Do you know?
Well, obviously Mike Trout, because I'm an Angels fan. That makes sense.
So
but that just made me laugh, and that's what I love about you, because he's like literally one of the biggest baseball players.
Oh really? Right. Oh God, I'm sorry, Mike.
It was great. It was a real moment.
Here's the thing. This is why MLB needs me. Because they need to promote their game and promote their stars. And like, this is a great way to do it. So if you're watching an Angels game, Dax, you're thinking maybe Mike Trout's going to get it.
Let's relax,
let's not get crazy.
No. If you're watching a game, you're thinking maybe Mike Trout will get some hits, or Shohei Ohtani, or Jared Walsh, or Taylor Ward, or any number of these guys who could get a hit. And if you're watching a game, Alicia, if you're playing Beat the Streak, you're thinking, man, I got Mike Trout to get a hit. Here's the thing. Here's the game.
Okay.
Is that if you just pick a player, any player playing a baseball game, and they get a hit, you have a hitting streak of 1. You do that 57 times in a row.
What do I win?
$5.6 million.
Wait, in real life? USD?
Actual money.
Oh, I'm doing the wrong thing. Matt, we got to talk.
But no one's won. That's the crazy thing.
See, that's the thing. The game has been around for 20 years and nobody's done it. At the beginning, the prize was $100,000. And then 10 years in, they're like, yeah, this is too hard. Let's make it $1 million.
So
then nobody won. And then they're like, let's make it $5.6 million. Here's the fun part.
I need to know one thing about the rule of the game, Matt.
Yeah.
Is it just a hit during the game, or every time they're up at the plate they have to hit?
One hit during the game. Guy can go 1 for 5 or 4 for 5. It's the same thing. If the person doesn't play, you get a pass, and it doesn't count against your hitting streak. You can do something called a double down, where you choose 2 batters in 2 different games, whatever games you want. If they both get a hit, you're at 2. So you could get to 56 in 28 straight days. If you go back to 0, which is bound to happen sometimes, you can start again. And 28 days after that, you got $5.6 million. Yes, Alicia,
My hand is raised. My hand is raised. So just if I'm understanding you correctly, let's say I go with Mike Trout because I know who he is, right? And I say every time Mike, did I say Mike?
No, you're perfect. It's
Okay.
just funny.
You choose them for one game. You choose them for one game that very day, and then the next day you choose again within the MLB Play
I can
app.
pick Mike again to
Yes.
to bat and to make a hit.
Get
And
a
if
hit.
he fails me,
Yes.
then I start all over again.
Correct. You start at 0. Now here's the tricky part. We're
Okay.
talking about actual baseball, and hitting a baseball successfully, getting a hit, is the hardest thing to do in sports. Period.
Ah.
Period. In 1941, Ted Williams hit 400. He hit 406. That's the last guy to hit 400, right? Hitting 300 is great. That means he was successful 40% of the time. That's the best in the world.
And no one got money off of him?
Ted made a lot of money, and the Red Sox were pretty good.
No,
But
no, I meant playing Beat the Streak.
No, it didn't exist. Only for 20 years.
Fudge.
So 1941, Joe DiMaggio hit in 56 straight games. Nobody's broken it since. I remember when Pete Rose hit in 45 straight in 1978. People have done it since, gotten close, but nobody's broken Joe D's record in 81 years. That's why the prize is $5.6 million for the 56-game hitting streak of Joe DiMaggio. So every day I talk real baseball history. I talk virtual hitting streaks. I talk about the games of the day. It's a really, really fun way to merge all the worlds, and also you're gambling every day.
What's the
Yeah.
closest that someone has gotten to that 56 so far?
2 years ago, a guy named Roberto got to 51.
He has to be mad. Who let him down? Who let him down?
DJ LeMahieu of the New York Yankees.
What a weasel.
You know what, though? That guy's a great hitter. He was trying. He didn't even know, probably,
Really?
that Roberto had money on him, you know?
So-
and it wasn't money. It's just your virtual hitting streak. So it's a really fun game. The MLB Play app is how you grab the game. Beat the Streak is in there. It's been around for 20 years. Quick story. David Ross, the manager of the Cubs, I'm friendly with him. So I saw him in spring training, and he was like, "How's your off season, man? What's going on?" I said, "I came up with this idea for a podcast." And I told him what I'm doing. I told him about the game. He didn't know about the game. He's too busy playing and then being a broadcaster and then managing. And Ross
He
is
better
like,
not know about the game, because then I'm going to look at him like it's loaded.
see, there you go. But he finds out nobody's done this in 20 years. He says, "You MFers can't even just pick somebody who gets a hit. And that's how hard hitting is. We can't do it, but you can't even pick somebody." Wow. So that's how hard it is to hit, how hard it is to do this, but it's also super fun. So we do it every day.
I'm captivated, and all I know is Mike Trout. And I feel like if I started playing now, because I have beginner/ignorant luck,
Yeah.
I would win, and then everybody would be mad as I go to the bank with my 5.6.
You know what a great story that would be?
Talk
That
to me.
5.6 pays for itself in promotion as we follow you along in the
Yes.
hitting streak, and then you do all the guest hits and talk about MLB, you talk about the podcast, you remember the little people who helped you there along the way. And here's the thing, within the Beat the Streak app, the Beat the Streak section of the MLB Play app, they give you suggestions. They have a hit probability algorithm where they're doing the math for you, and you can just pick those people if you want. And if you listen to my podcast every day, I'll give you 3 picks at the end of every show.
So, I mean, Matt, what's fascinating that has blown my mind is I didn't know that this game existed. I did not, when you said at the top of the show, it's been around for 20 years, that blew my mind. But I've started hearing promos, commercials for the game more, and I don't know if that's because your podcast is also helping the popularity and the awareness of the game as a whole, but I have started to hear it. What I want to know is, when you give your recommendations, how often are your recommendations coming to fruition and people actually hitting?
Pretty often, actually. Now, the problem is if you double down and you hit one of 2, you're done. You know?
What does that mean?
Doubling down means you choose 2 hitters in 2 different games or the same game, and if they both get a hit, then your streak is at 2, and the next day it could be at 4, as opposed to just going 1 by 1.
Yeah.
But if you get 1 right and 1 wrong, then you're in trouble. Look, I'll be honest. My longest streak so far, it's the first year I've ever done it.
Yeah.
My longest streak so far is 11. It's hard.
Wow.
I think I can do it, Matt. Something in my bones says if I were to put my $5 in, I don't know how much the buy-in is. I'm just putting a number out there.
Zero. It is
$3.99. So where's the money coming from?
Major League Baseball as a promotion for us to be talking about it, for you to go to their website and look at their stats, for you to look at highlights on MLB.com, for you to learn who Mike Trout is, for you to learn who Mike Trout is today.
Oh, Mike is going to bring me to victory. He doesn't even know it yet. He does.
One other option for you out there in LA. LA Dodgers have Mookie Betts. He's terrific. Once he was the Mookie of the Year, but this is when he was. This is when he was in Boston. So my baseball bona fides run deep. I go back at least 3 seasons to when Mookie.
So do I want to put my money on Mookie and Mike? I want to flip-flop back and forth. I want to put my bets on Mookie Betts.
That sounds like a really good double down for your first day, Alicia.
She's in. Alicia's in.
Winning.
Matt, you did your job. You made MLB proud today. You got a non-baseball fan to join Beat the Streak.
He tapped into my competitive side. I was like,
Found it.
Matt,
I'm back. Let's check back. Here's the deal. When somebody streaks to 35, we invite them to get on the podcast. Okay. For you, I'll cut that down to 20. Alicia, you get to 20.
Okay.
And you're coming on the podcast.
I think I can do it, Matt.
If you can handle the daily media scrutiny that comes with a hitting streak, it's very interesting.
It's gonna be like, well, between Mike and Mookie, I felt like I had a winner. Leash, where did
We'll
you
throw
get this
Shohei
from?
in there as well. Just start throwing names at you.
Just start randomly.
We'll edit. We'll clean it up in post-production.
That's my favorite
Matt,
line.
What I want to know, because fantasy football, I'm deep into fantasy football. I love it. It's very competitive. But when some single player fails me and I lose the game as a whole, I get very upset. And there's very little money on the line. Do you feel that baseball players are getting just slammed if they don't get a hit and now they've lost someone $5.6 million?
Well, that is something we kind of need to find out when we get there.
I'll let you know.
I don't know if DJ LeMahieu felt the pressure when he was picked 3 years ago when Roberto got to 51. I don't know how conscious the players are even of it. I don't know if we want them to be conscious of it.
I wouldn't want to know.
I wouldn't want them to know.
I'd be like, no thanks.
Yeah.
Don't tell me.
That's why I think a nobody like me winning will just be spectacular. Oh, I gotta win it. Look, my hands are twitching. I'm literally like over here, like I gotta do it.
No, thank you so much for understanding it, and let me preach about it because I'm pretty passionate about it.
I think you're
it's
doing
dope.
awesome, and I love just the podcast, like companionship podcast element of it. I think that makes it more exciting, especially for people who aren't huge baseball fans, being able to tune into your podcast and go, okay, that's a good recommendation. Because sometimes you need it. You don't know everyone that is out on the field, and to have someone else kind of, I don't want to say spoon feed, but educate you along the way of who to choose, I think it's brilliant.
That's the nature of the sport. I've called baseball a companion sport for a long time. That's what it is. Every day the box scores are there. Every day the games are there. Every day we are there. So it is a steady companion. It's what makes baseball special and unique, and why I love it. That's for sure.
Well, honestly, I feel like that's what, I was joking partially, but I'm dead ass. I think I'm going to give it a twirl. I think that's what's so dope about the concept, because you tap into, like, someone like me. I'm very open and honest about my lack of knowledge as it pertains to sport, anything sport, all things sports. But I do have like this competitive side, and I love to like win things. And I do think that there's something beautiful too about when you're firstly discovering something and you get a little something in the end, right? And I think that's what's so dope about Beat the Streak, because fans get to play along, people who aren't that versed in it get to join in on the fun.
And who doesn't want free money? At the end of the day, who doesn't want free money? Matt, give us a recommendation of a podcast that you are listening to, that you are enjoying, that you think our listeners could take away from here.
Jason Stark and Doug Glanville do the Athletic Baseball podcast. It's a very different format. They take an hour and a half. Just had Dusty Baker, the manager, on, but they are super interesting and take their time and have the kind of healthy, comfortable baseball conversation that I love and crave.
Awesome.
So if I'm understanding Beat the Streak correctly, one more time for the road, I can pick a different player every single game. They just have to hit
Just
one ball.
sign up.
And when you say hit, that means like a home run or just hit the ball, like contact with the ball?
Single, double, triple, or homer. Any kind of base hit safely. They have to reach base via a hit, not a walk, not a bunt, not an error, but a hit.
She's got this.
Yes, she does.
Matt Spiegel, host of Beat the Streak Daily. Thank you so much for leading me to my 5.6.
You're welcome. Give me a cut. I demand a cut.
10% I will slide your way if you continue to lead me to victory. And Mike Trout, it's me, it's not you. It's me, it's not you. Okay?